limit is t goes to -3 of 3 plus t over the square root of 2t squared plus 3t plus t. The first thing we're going to do is try plugging a -3 in for each of the t's. That will give us 3 plus a -3 divided by the square root of 2 times -3 squared plus 3 times a -3 plus a -3. In the numerator, plus a negative is the same as subtraction. In the denominator, -3 squared is 9 times a 2 is an 18. So we have an 18 minus a 9, and then plus a negative is the same thing as subtraction. So we have 3 minus 3 over the root of 18 minus 9, which is a 9, minus 3. So we have 3 minus 3 over the root of 9, which is a 3, minus 3. 3 minus 3 is a 0. So we have a 0 over 0 indeterminate form. Since we have a root combination, a root involving the variable t in some way added or subtracted together with at least one other term, that's in the denominator, we can try the root conjugate method. I'm going to rewrite this limit exactly as we see it. We're then going to form the root conjugate, which is the same terms in the root combination, which is in the denominator here, but opposite sign between them. Since they have a plus between the terms, we're going to have a minus opposite sign for the conjugate. And we're going to also put the conjugate in the numerator so that when we multiply by a form of 1. So we're not changing the value, we're just changing the look. And we have limit as t goes to -3 of, in the numerator those are not conjugates, so we will not want to FOIL that out. We'll leave it exactly as we see it. They are multiplying each other, but we'll keep it factored. In the denominator, we do have root conjugates. We will FOIL those out. First, root of 2t squared plus 3t times root of 2t squared plus 3t will become 2t squared plus 3t. Outside, root times -t will be -t times the root. Inside, positive t times the root. And last, positive t times -t is -t squared. The outside and inside terms cancel, equal value opposite sign. Our next step is to combine together the t squared terms that are in the denominator. So we will have limit as t goes to -3 of 3 plus t times the root of 2t squared plus 3t minus t over 2t squared minus t squared will become t squared plus 3t. We've turned this into power functions. We still have 0 over 0, and we will continue to have that until we can cancel the factors. Since t is going to -3, I would expect a t plus 3 or a 3 plus t in the numerator and denominator both. Now I see the one in the numerator, it's right there. That's what's making 0. In the denominator, it's a portion of that. We have to factor a little further to be able to see that. So that's our next step. We're going to factor that denominator. So we have limit as t goes to -3 of 3 plus t. I'm going to leave the numerator alone, times the square root of 2t squared plus 3t minus t, and all of that over factor t out as a common factor, and we have t plus 3. The t plus 3's can now cancel. They were making the 0 over 0. That leaves us with a limit as t goes to -3 of the square root of 2t squared plus 3t minus t, all of that over a t. We should no longer have 0 over 0. Our next step is to plug a negative 3 in for each of the t's. And we will have 2 times negative 3 squared plus 3 times negative 3 minus a negative 3, and all of that over a negative 3. In the numerator, negative 3 squared is 9 times a 2 is an 18. 3 times a negative 3 is a negative 9. And then minus a negative 3 is a positive 3. All of this over a negative 3. 18 minus 9 is 9, so we have root 9 plus 3 over negative 3. The square root of 9 is 3, so we have 3 plus 3 over negative 3. 3 plus 3 is a 6 over negative 3. Those can reduce by 3, and we're going to get a negative 2.